if you're in a group of married men, who have kids and responsibilities, you find that sort of behaviour is very little. But if you go in a group where there's predominantly single guys who probably, are looking for females or whatever, they'll start talking a certain way as well. So I think it's depending on the crowd that you're with. And nightclubs especially, Julian.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, really. I mean, people, get ready to go out, they want to have a good time, usually it means trying to get,
What can I say? I expect better
on the pool.
Out drunken.
Everyone's out on the pool, as they say.
Yes, as they say. They do say that. But, okay, Emma Watson. Has anyone not seen the Emma Watson video? Yasser, is that hand up to say you haven't seen it or you have? He hasn't seen it. Stella, can you tell our producer?
What's the big hoo-ha?
What is the big hoo-ha?
Well, this lady who, I believe she was in Harry Potter, she's an actress.
Yes.
Was at a UN conference, and the hoo-ha is that she stood up on her own, just completely defending women's rights for about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Really nervous, voice shaking and everything, but she delivered a fantastic, really compelling speech. And that's the hoo-ha, really. Yeah. Okay.
Some people, and I don't necessarily agree with them, have come out and said, well, it's all very well for Emma Watson to stand up and say that she's a rich, attractive, young, white lady from... is she American?
She's English.
She's English. Okay, she's a white European. She's from a privileged background. She doesn't have the same experience as women in other countries. Does that negate at all anything that she has said?
Obviously, she hasn't been through as much of a struggle as other women who they've been brutalised a lot more for what they've done or who they are. Mm-hmm. But she's still a woman, and she can still empathise with any issue surrounding womanhood or femininity or anything like that. She's still very empathetic towards those things that you can't really say because of her financial circumstances.
Just because she's a woman, she can relate.
Well, she's been a victim of that kind of discrimination anyway. Maybe not to that extreme as other women have had it, but that's like, you can say that about everything, can't you? Really.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure she has experienced some discrimination. I mean, she's in the movie industry.
Okay.
You're going to be discriminated all the time. People are going to say, she's ugly, she's not ugly. Why is she in
the movie industry, Barbara? Probably because partly because she's attractive enough to be in the movie industry. Is she the type of woman that the movie industry likes?
Oh well, we know
attractive and young.
Yeah, but we know that the movies industry is very fickle. Mm-hmm. It changes. You've got a star. They might be famous for 1 or 2 years, and then all of a sudden you never hear from these people again, and it's because they just get replaced. So it's like they're always recycling all the time. So she will understand about discrimination, I'm sure. And just because she's from a privileged background, it doesn't mean that she didn't work hard to where she's at. I mean, she must be successful to a point that she done it herself.
Well, I think it's even more impressive that she is from a privileged background, because she can identify struggles that she might not actually have personally been exposed to. Like she said herself, she was raised in a family where she was treated very equally to her brothers and sisters and things. Okay. There was none of that kind of dynamic going on within her family. But the fact that she can still identify and she still feels so strongly about it is actually really, really impressive.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it shows that everywhere in the world, women are up against it. Despite all the privilege you have, somehow being a woman is still holding you back somehow.
Why is it also that certain nations that advertise women's rights, we're equal, we treat our women better than other nations do, etc., and why is it that those particular nations have the most problems?
Which nations are those?
Let's talk America, for example. Mm-hmm. Rape is very high there. Discrimination against women is very high there. Mm-hmm. The UK, we were just talking, as we started off on air, that there's so many murders being committed, just against women. These are violent murders against women. But on the other hand, the nation or the governments or whatever are promoting that, this is the place to be, if you want equal rights.
Well, okay. Well, once again, if you disagree with anything we've said, and I'm sure you will as the show goes on, 011 89 382. Let me know what you think. I'm going to pick up on what Barbara said about the rapes and the beheadings. I think we immediately leap to the more overt sexism, but it's this hidden sexism that allows like murders like that to happen. It's the being sexist without realising.
Yeah, but do you think it's because where we're living is a over-sexed society we're living in, where men are constantly bombarded? I mean, there are going to be men out there that say it's a woman's fault. You know, she put it on herself. You know what I mean?
But this is like the guy who said, "Oh, lift more weights and you won't get raped."
Yeah, but I mean, is it a fact that we live in an oversexed society where, you know, females are just everywhere? You know, they're bombarding men continuously, you know, with images of women.
Can I just interject? When you say there's females everywhere with images, do you think that they want to put themselves out there like that? Do you think they want these images to be exposed of them like that, or do you think that that's kind of a male thing to view these women as being sexualised?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you think we want to be sexualised, or do you think that's just how we're being perceived?
That is how it's looking out to be. Like, for example, the men, obviously, who are in power, they're putting women in certain situations, and it's just making them look, you know, nothing but like meat, you know, and the men's understanding of women just becomes totally different. It's like you're judging the woman by always how she looks first. You know, you don't want to get to know her. You don't really care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there comes that sense of boredom when you get bored as well. You know, you get to know the woman and you think, I'm bored of that now, and then you just want to go on to the next one because you're doing everything just because of the way she looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this culture of blame and blaming the victim. Stella, earlier on you showed me a picture of let's face it, naked woman holding a poster that said what? Words to the effect of, don't blame me.
Yeah, don't blame me for your lack of self-control. Basically, we can wear what we want. It's not.
Oh yeah.
Blame victims, not rapists. Blame rapists, not victims.
Yeah. I mean, I get that point too. You know, where you have women who are strong in character, you know, strong in mind, strong in personality, and they dress how they want to dress, and they don't think that they should apologise for being provocative in any way. They think it's a man's, you know, it's his fault.
But being provocative, that's a subjective thing. So she could just be walking down the street with a little bit of flesh hanging out, but a man could look at that as, oh, she's being provocative, when she's actually not. I think that's the point that she's trying to make.
Definitely. I mean, the woman obviously thinking a different way, but the man thinking a different way. But what's leading the man to think that way?
Devil's advocate here. I'll tread carefully. How would you advise a woman like that to dress?
However she wants.
I
wouldn't advise the woman anything. I think that I would advise a man to stop looking at a woman like that and to just mind his own business.
And this is devil's advocate.
That's coming from a woman, though. That's not easy for a man to.
Well,
it doesn't matter who it comes from. If it's the truth, it's the truth.
And I'm going out on a limb here I'm trying to find something to disagree with. But people might say, are you more or less likely to get raped if you dress with more flesh exposed than less?
More,
I don't know
the answer is more, but that's not the point. If we want to talk about rape as a crisis, then that is not the question we should be talking about. That's not the question that should be posed. The question should be, why are men blaming it on women? Why are men saying things, or even women say it as well, you know, oh, she was asking for it, or she provoked it, or what did she expect, she was walking down a dark alleyway at 3 a.m. Those aren't the kind of, that's completely irrelevant.
I think
that's not where the sickness lies.
Should we tackle it from both ends?
I think when the crime is committed, you know, the first thing you want to do is look for an excuse. Do you understand? But we have to look at what led to the crime.
Okay.
Do you understand?
You know,
rather, because it's like someone, you know, Oscar Pistorius, let's say, for example, you know, he had a episode where he just went crazy, and I believe he did it. I believe he murdered her, yeah? But I also believe that it was a heat of the moment thing, which went out of hand. So he's pulled the trigger now. He's done it. Now he's obviously, you know, saying, I'm sorry, I've done wrong or whatever. So in the same case, you know, you can look from a man perspective who's probably harassed a woman or whatever. He's probably, you know, bombarded and just gone crazy and just thought, okay, let me do it. And then afterwards think, oh, what did I do? You know, but we have to look at what leads to the crime rather than the aftermath.
Yeah, the sickness is what leads to the crime. It's not necessarily how somebody provokes the other person, it's how that person is. So, for example, if we spin it on its head, if we said that there was a man walking through the street at whatever hour, whatever day, whatever time, and he gets assaulted by a group of other males, there would be nobody on this earth that would question, was he drunk? Was he provoking it? Was he getting angry? Did he start? Nobody would say that. They'd just say that was a terrible crime and, you know, everyone would get sad about it. But when it's a woman, they take into consideration what was she wearing, who was she with, was she drunk, and what time it was. That's the difference.
Okay. We've brought up drinking now. What about, there was an advert recently, I think it was discouraging rape or drinking, I can't remember.
Was it the NHS one?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But it was
started on that.
Remind me of the exact scenario. It was words to the effect of, if you, don't get drunk if you don't want to get raped.
Yep.
How do you fit? What's your? I sense you've got a lot to say on this.
It's just idiotic. It's just really, really.
But if you take it in the context of an anti-drinking campaign rather than an anti-rape campaign, isn't it sensible to drink less? Because if you do get really drunk, you're vulnerable to muggings and rape and many other mishaps.
If it's an anti-drinking campaign, it shouldn't have a woman on there in the first place. It should just be. It could just be both, or it could be a man like that. You wouldn't use the same image.
Why not a woman then? Why do we have to tiptoe around women and not use their image in any context in case it's taken as being?
You don't have
sexist?
to tiptoe around them, but we get scrutinised enough. So if you ease up a little bit, that would be a little bit helpful. You know what I mean?
But at what point, as a society, do we move on and say, well, okay,
when there's a bit of equality,
and you feel that's not, it's not
nowhere
there
near
yet.
No.
Okay. Barbara, did you see that advert? There was an NHS advert that said, "Don't get drunk in case you get raped." Now, I don't like using the.
Don't get drunk in case you get raped.
Words to that effect, yes. But
they do say alcohol leads to all evils.
Well, I don't drink, so I don't advise anyone.
I don't drink.
I don't advise anyone to drink. And one of the consequences is that you could be involved in a terrible. You'll be vulnerable to a crime such as rape. So, what if it had said, in case you get mugged? Would that have been okay? Would that have been acceptable?
Well, loads of things can happen when you're drunk.
Exactly.
So I think one thing to list is just a bit silly.
So is that the problem that they chose?
Why did they choose
crime?
a vulnerable woman to put on there? I mean, that's just not very. It's not very accurate because, like I said, a lot of things happen when you're drunk.
It seems like people use the rape of women to make a point.
It's the wrong point, though.
I do question that because that is the one kind of emotive thing that gets to us, or it should do. Like it is perhaps one of the most terrible crimes one could commit, perhaps other than murder. I don't know, but when you start using it to make other points, I think that really kind of weakens your case. I mean, with conflicts going on in the world, I see posters of a woman and she was raped by so and so and so and so because of X, Y, and Z, with no evidence for it, with no nothing backing it up, but just as it's like a throwaway phrase, like, oh, you know that's wrong. And to use that for a campaign about alcohol, I think it's a good point you make that there are many other crimes and mishaps you could make. I try to disagree with Stella Anaxagorou, but
just can't do it.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. Well, I will try to. If you think you can disagree with Stella, 01189 660 382.
Please get involved. And if you want to text in, It's 07909567527. Someone just refreshed my memory a little bit. In America recently, I mean, we've already said about the rape in America, etc., etc. But this particular woman has gone and done a total recall to her chest, where she's gone and put a third one.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's talking about it on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, and the reason she's saying she's done it is to make herself less attractive.
Less or more?
Less.
All right.
So, what leads a woman to do such?
I've never thought about doing that myself, actually. So I couldn't tell you. I think it's just...
But what leads that to be such a great story on Facebook?
Because it's odd.
It's just, it's a spectacle, isn't it? It's just nothing... from a feminist point of view, I actually have no idea why you would do that. I really don't know what to say. I mean... Yeah.
But woman does something strange to her body. I mean, it's a great story.
I mean, we're talking about all these crimes towards women and stuff, but... And then, you've said that it's the sickness that makes someone do it. But how do we cure this sickness, or how do we prevent these things, from happening? I mean, do you think taking away all the, female images, that sexualize women,
I think
and bombarding men with certain... Would that help?
That would definitely help. But I think even before we do that, we need to educate men to understand that this image of women that everyone has, in our mainstream, in culture, in the media and stuff, that has to go. But also, men need to understand that women deserve a certain kind of respect, and that, mistreating them in any kind of way is going to encourage that kind of behaviour.
But I think it's getting harder now. I think it's getting harder because we have to look at how people have been raised now.
That's what I mean, like the whole kind of, the way that some men behave, running out on their families or abandoning and stuff like that is really, really common, and that needs to definitely be frowned upon and not be excused. His excuse is he's a man and he gets scared and he can't open up and he can't commit and things like that. All that kind of stuff needs to change, because a man has just as much responsibility as a woman does with everything. So unless men get on board with this, women won't get on board, no one's going to get on board, and nothing's ever going to change. It's not just men's responsibility, and it's not just women's, it's everyone's.
So a lot of principles really need to change, Because
men are allowed to do a lot of things, if you think about it. They can get away with a lot of things and women can't. Women are completely, restrained. They have to, they're told what to do. If they go outside of what they're told to do, they get scrutinised, they get, insulted, they get told that they're not being a decent mum or a decent woman or a decent wife or whatever. Whereas men, they're a lot more free to do and behave how they want.
I mean, even old-fashioned traditions, women or girls, they are supposed to, looking in those old traditional ways, women are always, or girls are always seen to have to act a certain way, do a certain thing.
Yeah.
But the guy, if it's a boy... They'll say, he's okay, he's allowed to screw up.
Yeah.
But a girl is not allowed to screw up. As soon as she screws up, she's got this black mark on her.
A woman has to strive for perfection in every aspect of her life.
Yeah.
That will be with her beauty, that will be with her popularity, that will be with her success as a mother, as a wife, even in her career. Whereas a man doesn't have that many pressures. He does have pressures, don't get me wrong, but it's not as many, and the consequences of failing aren't as bad as when a woman does.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it many times, even from, Asian culture, that, the girls, they cannot step wrong, it's our honour, our dignity. But, the guys, they go around until they're 25, messing around, doing whatever they want. And then, they get married and everything's forgotten. So these attitudes do need to change. I do agree with that, definitely.
All right. What about language?
Oh, gosh.
Doing something like a girl. I was teaching in primary school once, and the kids had to improve a sentence. But I'll tell you more about that after this, because we got a call on line 4. Stella, if you'd like to put your headphones on. Hello, caller. Welcome to the Late Show.
Hello?
Hello, caller. Who's this?
Hello, my name's John. Hi, I can
Welcome to the
not
Late
hear
Show,
you
John.
too well.
Yeah, I just sort the sound out, man. I've got to sort the levels out. Bear with us, John.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just about.
Stella,
yeah.
can you hear John?
Yep.
Go ahead, John. What would you like to say to Stella Anaxagorou?
Firstly, I'd like to say to Stella, hello, and you make some very good points. Also, I want to say just hello generally to the show, to, I believe, is it Barbara and the other gentleman?
Yes, Barbara's here, Yas is here.
And to you, Jules.
Thank you.
Just as a general, I wanted to say I've been listening to your show every week, pretty much, and I've enjoyed it, and I think you do a great service.
Thank you very much.
To the community, and I think in these, I'm not a Muslim myself, but in these days where people like to bash Islam and anything Muslim, I think it's great that there's such a fantastic radio station with such brilliant shows like this that really show the service to the community. So thank you and well done.
Thank you very much, John. We're getting a big head now.
Yeah,
I feel there's a butt coming. But go on.
No, what I wanted to say really is just this topic of it ain't the woman's fault what she's wearing. I think we're living in an age where really, for me to even make the point I'm going to make, I don't think that society is really mature enough. I feel, with all due respect, to kind of grasp the point I'm going to make, which is that yes, I'm sorry, but women do have a small responsibility for how they dress, and to use now it's absolutely anyone, for example, rape. Absolutely the rapist's fault. And as far as I'm concerned, if the death penalty was around, then that's one thing that it could be used for. It's disgusting.
John, the death penalty does exist in some places still.
Exactly right. Well, I don't believe in the death penalty myself, but if it did exist, in this country, then I can't condone rape in any way at all, and it's always the man's fault 100%, and that's what we all have to understand. The trouble is, though, this is a very sensitive and complex topic, and the trouble with just seeing things in a black and white way like that is that you can oversimplify it, and you can lose track you can lose sight of some of the issues. Now, to use an analogy, if I was to go into a park and go up to some guy with a Rottweiler and go and just jab the Rottweiler in the eye with a stick, okay, I might get away with it, it'd be fine, but if I kept doing it, eventually that Rottweiler's going to bite me. Now, I could say, right, well, the Rottweiler's bitten me, it should be put down, and yes, it's the Rottweiler's fault. No one's going to say, the Rottweiler shouldn't be going around biting people, but I have to accept that I've got some responsibility because I know that what the nature of a Rottweiler is. Now, Now, unfortunately, men, we do have testosterone, and that in men and also in women, testosterone is also responsible for the sex drive in women and men. Men have a much, much higher level, of course, well, most men. And the trouble is, this is something that is a problem with not just those with the Y chromosome men, but just humanity in general. That we have this problem where about 49% of the world's population has got higher testosterone, and therefore is more likely, and also we're a bit thicker, I suppose, and we've got a more direct connection from our brain
John,
to our... Go on.
Well, John, rape is about power, not sex, apparently. But Stella might disagree, or you might agree.
I don't know that much about what rape's about, because I've not done it. But
John, can I just say that you're implying that it's in every man's nature to rape?
Absolutely. Well, evolution will tell us so. I mean, that's why we're here
to rape.
Today.
Sorry, to
Otherwise
rape.
we'd have died out with amoeba billions of years ago. The fact is, it is in our nature to
rape.
we are the stronger gender, and therefore it is in our nature to have intercourse, and it's normally the man.
Wait, John,
that initiates that.
John, we're not talking about intercourse, we're talking about rape.
Okay, well, what is rape?
Intercourse that's forced upon somebody without their...
It's a type of
That's
intercourse.
forced upon somebody without their consent. Very different.
It is still a subset of intercourse. There's intercourse with consent, and there's intercourse without consent. Rape is intercourse without consent. But we're nevertheless talking about the umbrella of intercourse. And so, therefore, it is something that men, we are stronger, and it's wrong. It's completely wrong, and no one's condoning it at all.
It sounds like you're condoning it a little bit, John.
Well, no. See, this is exactly the point I started off with, that saying that I don't believe this society in this day and age, we get very, very touchy about certain things, and as soon as anyone in any way tries to say that, rape is, actually, let's just look at some of the reasons, immediately one throws up the card and says, oh no, you're condoning rape and therefore you're racist.
Which
is effectively what's happening here.
You've just said that it's not a black and white issue, but you've made it incredibly black and white.
Well, I haven't made it black and white. I've made it... Okay, the black and white is that rape is wrong. Okay, if you want to make it black and white.
But it's justified. But it's justified is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying... See, Joe, I'm sorry, Stella, you're twisting my words. I'm not saying it's justified. No one... But all I'm saying is that one has to accept even 0.001% of responsibility for how they dress. And in, just in the same way that you wouldn't go to a dog and start poking it in the eyes, and you wouldn't go around saying, oh my God, look at me, I've been bitten by this dog. Well, hello, you know what a dog's like, you poked it in the eye.
Well, I'd like to think that men are a bit more sophisticated than dogs these days, so he would know the difference between raping somebody and,
Don't use the analogy. Come on,
it's a bad analogy, John. Sorry, but...
Well, no, I'm sorry. It's just because you don't like an analogy, it doesn't make it bad. Just because it makes my point very well, and it does, it doesn't make it bad.
I don't think it makes your point bad.
Well, if you don't understand it, I'm sorry, but...
Well, I do understand.
I'm going to throw another one in, just to throw the...
more fuel on the fire?
Yeah, to throw the fuel into the fire, as they say. Would you move your family to live next door to a paedophile? Is that a worse analogy? I don't know why I have to use paedophilia to make my point. God forgive me. But is that the kind of point you're making, John? Why would you do that when you have an option to live anywhere you like?
Would I move next door to? Would I move my family next door to a paedophile? I suppose. Well, I mean, who am I to judge what a paedophile is now like if they've been, convicted and whatever? But you've got to use your brain.
But is that the equivalency to choosing to dress scantily clad? And
well, if I move next door to a paedophile, and the paedophile attacks my children, obviously it's the paedophile's fault 100%. I'm not condoning what the paedophile does, but I have to look at myself and say, well, I've been a little bit stupid for moving next door to the paedophile. So that's yes, it's another analogy.
So paedophilia isn't actually the issue here; it's where you decide to live.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. That makes loads of sense.
So rape, rape we know is wrong, but it's if you're dressing, for example, it's also fair to say, and we've got to bear in mind that the stats probably are that most girls aren't raped because they're walking around looking slutty. Most of them are probably well dressed, just jogging and whatever. So we're only talking about a small proportion here. So overall, I would agree with this. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter what a girl wears. It's wrong. It's wrong.
John, sorry, I don't think it's about the everyday women on the street. To be honest with you, okay, because everyone gets on with their days, what they should do anyway. I think the problem here is media, TV. Your mobile phones. Your whatever you're looking at. I think this is what bombards men, or men who are weaker. It bombards their minds with distorted images, and then what happens
and this breeds a sickness.
That breeds a
sickness. Talking about.
Oh, definitely not. I think we agree it's a sickness, yes, but we, like we were saying, we have to look at what leads to the crime and how it can be prevented.
Completely agree. I completely. very, very good point. Very good point. I mean, this is not a black and white issue. It's multifactorial. Yes, it's the man's sickness. Of course, it's the man's sickness. I completely agree.
Well, can we talk about the man's sickness then?
Well, no, because actually, to say it's a black and white issue, let's completely just talk about the man's sickness. And it's all the man, it's all the man, it's all the man. The women's got nothing to do with it, no responsibility whatsoever. It's just being a little bit naive.
No one actually said that, though, John. No one actually said that women don't have a responsibility. If you were listening earlier, I said that they did.
Agree. So women do have a responsibility.
Yeah, but rape, we're talking about rape. We're talking about a man raping a woman, so we have to talk about men.
That's what I mean. All of a sudden it becomes an emotional topic. Oh, it's about rape, it's an emotional thing, therefore we can't in any way...
Well, rape is an emotional thing, John.
Sorry? Yes, it's an emotional thing, but
I think what John said in the beginning...
When trying to discuss it, I appreciate it is, but, you know, in serious matters like this, don't have any room for emotion. I think we have to look at it in the cold light of day.
If you were a rape victim, John, you wouldn't be saying that. It's very easy for you to sit there and say that.
I have many rape victims, actually.
But you're not one yourself.
No, I'm not a rape victim myself. But again, just because I'm not a rape victim doesn't mean I can't look at it. But maybe it's a better. I'm in a better position to look at it.
Okay, John. Hello, John.
To say this, sorry, if you're walking down the street with your short with a shirt with a skirt as short as a belt, and you're going up to women and up to men, blowing them kisses, and they're drunk, you know, I'm sorry, but you can't say you have zero responsibility. I think that's just naive, and I know it's an emotional topic, but I don't agree with that. Sorry, carry on.
Just one thing I just want to add. Okay, we know that this issue is not going to go away anytime soon. You know, unfortunately, you know, women are going to continue to be harassed. You know, there's going to be, you know, rapes. There's going to be murders. But do you think that the consequences or the laws of this country are slack when it comes to these crimes? And do you think this is one of the reasons why, you know, this crime is pretty high?
To be honest, I don't. I'm not an expert in law.
From what I've seen, none of us are experts of the law, but from what I've seen is, you know, the consequences and the sentences that certain individuals get, you know, is nothing. I mean, you know, some of them are saying, yeah, no problem, I'll go to prison for a little while. It's a little holiday camp for me, and I'll come back out. And rapists or paedophiles, they are given special treatment in prison, meaning that they're kept away from the vast society of prison. Do you understand? So they're sort of like kept away. So in essence, they're sort of given protection when they're in prison as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm just throwing something out there.
Yeah, no. I'm sure. Yeah, putting it out there. No, I think that's all very reasonable. I mean, I don't know, but I strongly, I suspect it's not the case that rapists are going out doing what they're doing because they don't get done by the law that badly. Yes, I suppose if there was a death penalty, which one could argue there should be, it's a horrible crime. Maybe there would be less of it. But I suspect a lot of it is that, you know, guys are out there, they're drunk, they've got this sexual urge or whatever it is, and they...
You keep going back to drink. Do you think drink is a problem? Do you think drink should be prohibited?
Well, as someone who doesn't drink myself, but I'd love for it to be prohibited, I suppose. You know, but yes.
John, our producer describing you as old-fashioned.
Sorry?
The producer is describing you as old-fashioned.
Well, I am.
There you go.
I think drink is a problem, but I don't think it's the full problem. I don't think it's the full story here. I'm sure many rapists are sober when they're committing that awful crime.
Closing comments to Stella before we let John go.
Closing comments to Stella.
Well, from Stella, rather.
From Stella, go on. Yeah.
I've actually got nothing else to say to John.
All right, John. If you'd like to add anything, John.
No, I apologise if I offended at all.
You didn't offend John.
Okay, thank you. Stella, I love everything most of the things you've said, and I think you're a breath of fresh air. But I just generally just wanted to say that this isn't a black and white issue, and it's important not to kind of just just blame it all on one side, and it's important to look at to all the factors.
John, thank you very much for your call. We don't have to agree on the Late Show.
Thanks, John.
We like the
Thank you guys.
we like an old-fashioned listener.
clash of opinions. There goes John there. Thank you very much indeed. That's John. Like I said, we don't have to all agree on everything.
Is there any water?
Go
Any
get
juice?
some water, producer.
Thank you.
But men and women are different, and perhaps that's the angle he's coming from. A man can rape a woman, but a woman cannot rape a man.
The interesting point that he did make, which I agree with him, is where he discussed about the testosterone, the temptation levels, etc., etc. I think he does have a valid point there. But, as you keep saying, Stella, it's not an excuse, and, it is illness. But we have to...
But testosterone doesn't lead to rape, it's just a high sex drive. It doesn't really... Thank you.
One thing you have to understand, Stella, being a lady, is that all men have different testosterone levels. Some have high, some have low. But what it is all about how they use their levels of testosterone. Some guys need to burn it off in the gym, some guys go running, some guys do this. So it's all about how you burn your energy, We're going a bit into science here, Julian.
But, I mean, if testosterone doesn't lead to rape...
I don't know why we're talking about men's testosterone. It's quite... Sorry, I just think it's a bit irrelevant,
No. I'm not saying that it's relevant to the rape. I'm not saying it's relevant to the rape. I'm just discussing the man's makeup.
Again, it feels like we're kind of justifying men's failures, you know what I mean? Oh, well, we've got different testosterone levels and da-da-da-da-da, and all we've been talking about is women's skirts looking like belts. Like, it's just not very... It's not a very
let's be a
argument.
bit positive then. Let's talk a little bit about how we can deter this crime. What can deter the crime?
We don't have to spend the whole night talking about rape, by the way. It's come up and it's
well, I don't know. Okay, what were we talking about? Murders?
The thing is,
there's so many crimes against women.
There's so many crimes against women, and I wanted to expose the hidden crimes that I'm probably guilty of myself.
Day-to-day ones that we're...
For example...
Well, the producers just said that the women get all the good jobs now. Men are struggling. Is that true?
I think so.
Probably not.
Women get all the good jobs nowadays.
What, like prostitution?
And foreigners.
It's a great job.
Yeah.
No, I see women do high-flying jobs. No.
All right. Well, I've got a lot of black friends, therefore I'm not racist.
Exactly.
Excuse me?
These kind of, it's not... Women have got... I saw a woman with a great job the other day, therefore sexism is over.
I don't know. When I go around, when I go around certain businesses or companies or whatever, there's a lot of females working.
Oh, great. Brilliant.
Okay, then, all right then, Julian.
Who let them?
All right then, Julian. When did the United Kingdom actually start letting women work, and when did it actually start letting them get paid proper money?
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago. So that's the point I'm trying to make. When I go out there, I see a lot of females working. Actually, most of the businesses or offices or whatever are full of females.
In as many executive positions as men?
I don't know about executive. I'm not that high up.
And they're not that high up.
But to flip it on its head,
right?
What wouldn't you expect women to be less represented in the higher executive jobs when the woman is the mother? And if she's going to have a child or children, at times she will be out of the picture in terms of being able to work.
What's your question? That sounded like a statement.
Well, do you agree with this, is my question.
No, I don't.
Why?
Because it's unfair.
But it's not a surprise that there will be more men than women in executive roles or...
Okay, here's another one I'm going to throw out, which you lot might not like, actually. Do women actually make good leaders?
That is an awful question.
Where's the line? Can we go back
Meaning, there's certain elements in the world, or certain people in the world...
You're going to get into gender roles here.
I am going into gender, yeah. That basically say that women do not make great leaders because they are too emotional and they have poor judgment because of their emotions.
Let's find out who's on line 4.
It's John again.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the Late Show. Who's this? No, go ahead. You're welcome. Who's calling?
My name is Az.
Az.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Az.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick point. I'm an activist, okay, and I've been to many different kind of gatherings, including a feminist gathering. And usually when you go to a gathering, such as like a meeting or some kind of a rally, people kind of prepare kind of food or snacks or refreshments, you know. I went to a feminist gathering. It was really nice. People were really polite, but not like everyone refused to make sandwiches and everyone refused to make any refreshments. I thought it was rubbish, you know. Like everyone, I think, kind of too much being feminist.
Why did people were refusing to prepare food?
The women didn't want to cook.
No, they were like they were all too feministic, and they were like nobody wanted to offer us any refreshments or anything.
Oh my, no courtesy.
For you.
No, I think it's a fair point. I think it's there is a bad.
Why didn't you make your own sandwiches then?
Make your own sandwiches, Az. All right, thank you very much.
If I was organising the meeting, I would have like
Sandwiches. Well, you sound like you're one sandwich short of a
Sandwich.
meal in the park.
Is that true though? I mean, does he have a valid point? Are feminists a bit a bit crude, a bit nasty?
I think we're getting a bit silly now with this whole thing, to be honest. I'm not even going to answer that question.
Okay.
Az, thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
On the Late Show. One sandwich short of a picnic. Okay, where were we before that? Sexism. Okay.
The workplace.
Leaders.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, look, Barbara, before you offend anyone further, men and women, they do have different roles in society. Agreed? We treat men and women differently according to certain needs. Women get more maternity leave than men get paternity leave. Is that? I believe that's fair and that's right.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
What? Oh, here we
but
go.
let's go back to the call. Line 1, you are live on the Late Show. Who's this? Welcome to the show. You got a question for Stella Anaxagorou? Hello, caller. Turn your radio down. And they've gone. That's the government checking up on us to see what we're actually talking about. Yeah, no, should paternity pay and maternity pay be the same thing? Look, man can't breastfeed, right? Let's face it. There are some biological differences that we should acknowledge, and that doesn't mean that we're treating people unequally. It just means we're treating them differently according to their needs, right?
Yeah, but maternity leave isn't about breastfeeding.
No, it's about giving birth, which is what the woman does.
Yeah, but the man contributes to that. So why should the woman?
The
father
woman contributes for 9 months. The man contributes for
5 seconds?
Well,
Sure,
yeah.
okay.
What about all men and women are equal,
They are.
but they are different?
Well, let's see if this caller agrees. Hello, caller. You're on the Late Show. You're through to Stella Anaxagorou.
Hello.
Hello, welcome
Hello.
to the show. Is that in solidarity with women?
That's it.
All I want to say is they don't really care about us. Do you resonate with... the phones are going mad tonight. Do you resonate with that, Stella? Do you think that was someone making a valid point?
Yeah, pretty much.
All I want to say is they don't really care about us women. Thank you very much, midnight caller. Not even midnight yet. Stella,
Yeah.
why should paternity and maternity pay be the same? I think treating people the same is not what equality is about. Why should it be?
I think that's exactly what equality is. So when you're talking about creating a life, two people contribute to that, not one more than the other. And yes, she's the mother, but he also, just because she gives birth, he also has just as much right to spend time with his child as she does. It's got nothing to do with...
All right, on the Titanic, 100 years ago,
it
was men and women, men and children first. Women and children first. Got it right. Women and children first, and that's always been the mantra of of war and emergency situations. You know why that is. What?
Yep.
Tell me, why is it women and children first?
Because women are seen as the they're the ones who raise the children.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they need to be alive. They need to survive so that they can bring up their
You
children.
learn your mother tongue from your mother, right?
Right.
She teaches you how to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different. In one sense, mate, yeah, the women are more important in that context.
In that context.
So on the Titanic, women and children are more important to survive. In the workforce, might it be the case that men might be predisposed to certain roles that women are not?
I think that in the work, I mean, depending what industry you're in anyway, I think that women possess a lot of important qualities that can help positively to a workforce. So it's not all about being, you know, ruthless and opinionated and hard. And I just think that whole thing, women can be all those things and more. All those kind of attributes that a man would have in a workplace, a woman can have that and more. So I don't really see your point about women are too emotional, they're too irrational, or whatever.
Well, I haven't said that.
I'm talking
Barbara,
to, yeah.
You said that.
He's on
didn't
his
you?
phone.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I didn't say that, no.
That is a very negative stereotype.
No, it's not. I don't believe it's negative or stereotype. What I'm saying is, well, I actually was saying just before the call, I said, what about men and women being equal, but having different roles? Are men and women really equal? Can a woman do what a man can do, or can a man do what a woman can do? We know that's
well,
not
there
possible.
are certain things that obviously they can't.
Certain, yes, to a
so
certain
we
level.
can't
Yeah.
lift as heavy weights because we don't have as much testosterone, blah, 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 and men can't give birth.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it goes. In terms of personality, men can possess female traits and females can possess male traits. I think you cannot have
Is
the
gender a
capacity.
spectrum?
You cannot have room for equality if you're going to treat two people as polar opposites. It's just impossible. Do you see what I mean?
Okay. Just had an update on the text from Felicity. Thank you so much. Check the law. Check the new law on paternity before you speak now, Julie. You're calling me a woman's name. If the mother has the better paid job, the man can now take paternity like maternity. If the woman goes back to work, they can even share it 50-50 now as equals. The law has changed. Well, that's
I'm happy about that.
Step in the right direction. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue my campaign for male rights. Women can retire at 60, and for a man, it's 65.
That's unfair.
That's unfair. Would you prefer it to be the same age?
Yeah.
Why is it 60 and 65? Is it because of this view of women that we had in the old days?
Yeah, they become more frail. They maybe can't cope with the pressures or whatever, and men should always be working and providing and things like that. But I think that's unfair for men as well, to have to put that pressure on them that they've got to work for 5 years extra.
So, being a feminist is about being fair, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's about
Well, I think most men last till 65 anyway.
Well, we don't live as long as women.
Yeah, that's true.
So, who knows why that is? And that's God's wisdom. I mean, that's another difference that we have to accept. In terms of language and how, doing things like a girl, I was teaching in a school once. I'll get this story out before the next call. And the primary, year 6, and the kids had to correct the sentences and make them better and add adjectives and adverbs, and I couldn't tell you which is which. But one of the sentences was the girl ran. So this boy very creatively changed the sentence to the fat girl ran like a fat girl would. And he read it out in front of the class, and the kids started laughing, and I felt so awkward. I was like, this is really bad. He shouldn't be saying stuff like that. But I didn't have the words to describe to him why it was bad. I just knew that it was. Stella, what could I have said? What would you have said, apart from giving him a quick...
I probably would have responded the same way you did. There's too much that's wrong with that.
Yeah, there's too much that's wrong with that.
Firstly, why was it a fat girl?
Well, the sentence originally was the girl ran.
Okay.
So to be fair to him...
why was it a fat girl? Why did he say
I don't know.
Girl?
He's 10 years old.
Right.
He's obviously got that idea from somewhere.
Okay.
The fat girl ran like a fat girl. There, that was the adjective that he chose. Fat girl ran like a fat girl would. And there's this presumption that there is a certain way. that a fat girl runs. I don't know. Yeah.
It's ridiculing both women and the way that, you know, their size and things like that, which goes into the whole...
And for girls of 10 and 11 to hear that could be quite damaging.
It's very damaging.
I don't want to be a fat girl. And the kids are laughing.
Well, this is the birth of sexism, right there, from that age.
Do you think that's the age that it actually begins?
100%. And the more that kind of language becomes fashionable, the more detrimental it becomes, and the more harmful this is for young girls in terms of their self-esteem, understanding who they are, who they want to be. It distorts everything about what it means to be a woman, for men and for women. So that kind of language and those kind of messages, they have to be condemned straight away. You can't just write off and say, oh, you know, he's only 10 years old, he's, you know, it's harmless. It's never harmless. If it's starting at that young an age, then there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I just wished I had the words to explain to him why it is wrong. He would never have said, the black boy ran like a black boy would.
No, of course not.
He would instinctively know that that's not
wrong.
the right thing to say, but you can say a generalisation about women.
Again, women, young girls, aren't taught to stick up for themselves, which is really sad, because the more women can stick up for themselves and say, no, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of behaviour, I'm not going to tolerate that kind of abuse, men will learn that they actually can't get away with that. But the problem is that this is a vicious cycle, and that women are accepting that they're becoming devalued, and they're accepting that. You know, in order to be accepted by a man, I have to kind of devalue myself and dehumanise myself and sexualise myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to be noticed. Otherwise, no one's going to like me. No one's going to find me pretty or anything like that. So it's not just the men, like I said, John. It's everyone.
Yeah, we all have our part to play. And how is the word empowerment? I mean, how do you teach a girl of 10 to be confident in who she is and not have to fit a certain stereotype?
I'd tell her to never buy a Barbie, firstly.
Okay.
To
go for a Cindy instead.
None of that.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
fair enough.
Just the kind of stereotypical gender ideologies that we have. You know, girls trying to be pretty, wearing pink. You know, acting ladylike. All these kind of things. I would just tell a young girl to say. I would just say to her, forget all those things and just be who you want to be.
Okay.
That's the only way you can really empower yourself or empower somebody else.
And for the young boy, how do we teach these boys to be a gentleman? I have to say, I offered to open the door for Stella on the way into the studio.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of chivalry.
Didn't go down well.
I've been opening doors my whole life.
Tongue in cheek. Why? So why? Yeah. Why is that objectionable?
So a lot of guys get really on the defence when I talk about chivalry, because it's like, oh, but we're respecting you, and we're doing things for you, and we're acknowledging you, and you still have a problem with that. And the thing I keep saying is, your intentions are pure. I get that. I'm not saying anything about that. But what I'm saying is that you are treating us differently. You're treating us. It makes us feel sometimes that we aren't capable of doing the most minute things, like opening a door. So it's not necessary. You don't need to be wooing us 24/7. You don't need to be putting us on a pedestal, because we are actually just human, and we don't need to have doors open because we can open them ourselves.
Guys will be very aware that in some ways they can't treat women the same as men.
But they can. This is the amazing thing, is that it's better if they did.
Okay, maybe it is. For example, the other night, I was come back to working on the door. You get so many interactions with different kind of people. There's like an example for everything. I was monitoring the smoking area, and a female, I see one female, white European, 20 odd, came from the smoking area into the club, still smoking her cigarette, cigarette in hand, puffing away. I'm like, right, some rules are being broken here. I better go into bouncer mode and tell her what's what. Yeah. And she'd walked in front of me, and I was like, excuse me, and she started speeding up, and I was like, what do you call women? Excuse me, madam, like, hello, excuse me. And she's like running away from me now.
Yeah.
She knows I'm going to stop her smoking. And I never like to go hands on the door unless you have to, but she's literally about to go into the crowd and be lost. So I grabbed her by the arm, and I had to really deliberate about doing that, because she was female. Had she been a man, maybe I'd have grabbed him and pushed him up against the wall and said, "Don't you dare smoke in here, son," or whatever. Grabbed her, and she turned around. I said, "Madam, you can't smoke in here. We're inside. You can't smoke inside now." And immediately she chucked the cigarette away, and then she would do what I would refer to as abusing her sexuality. She was like hugging me up, kissing me on the cheek, like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Oh, I didn't know." And I was like the typical male, like, "What do you do now?"
Yeah.
Had it been a man, if a man did that to me, he would be out the door. So that, was that Yasser? Yasser's grown a personality today. The mute has got a voice. Yeah, I would have reacted very differently had it been a man or a woman. You can't, just as you can't be blind to race, I don't think you can be blind to gender. Stella, was I wrong to confront the lady and grab her by the arm, or was I wrong to let her off the hook because she kissed me on the cheek? Where do you start with that?
Yeah, there's a few grey areas there.
There are.
So when you said about if it was a man, you'd feel more comfortable being a little bit more forceful because he was a man.
That's right.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Go ahead, tell me why.
Because I just think that.
Yeah, we are carrying on, yeah. So don't worry, I'll buy you a mic next time. Go on, Stella. Sorry.
Well, you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you're advocating it, but you shouldn't justify violence or being more violent towards a man just because he's a man and you know that he could probably defend himself better. Were you a bouncer on that night? So
yeah.
Right. Your job as a bouncer is to, regardless of their sex, was just to put the smoking indoors to a stop.
Yeah.
But that premeditated thought that went through your mind is what. It's just like you're just conditioned to think like that. I have to be more subtle with a woman and more aggressive with a man. But then I don't think that's fair for men, though, because then they get preyed on a lot more because people square up to them and think, oh, because he's a man, he'll be able to take it. And if it wasn't, a different situation and two people got violent, I'd say that's sexism, but I think I'd feel more sympathy for the man than I would for the woman in that case. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But that comes back to the point that we are different. And we could both. It's possible to experience sexism from both angles. But women are more likely to because of the way society is structured.
That man may have been stronger because he might have been bigger framed or more muscular. So you can say, oh, he's stronger. But that doesn't permit you to be more forceful with him just because he's a man and just because he's... At the end of the day, all you need to do is put a stop to something. So you don't need to be more forceful with one and less forceful with the other.
Very true. But I just felt more trepidation being forceful with a woman because she is a woman, and we know that it's very taboo, Yasser's favourite word, to ever lay hands on a woman. Going back to Facebook, I saw a poster that said with a picture of a woman depicted as some kind of victim looking weak and vulnerable, and it said, "Nothing ever justifies hitting a woman." I take the point. Does that mean that something justifies hitting a man? Am I being very pedantic to bring that up?
I don't think it's a case of if she's a woman or if he's a man. I think that obviously violence should never be the answer, obviously. But I think in certain situations you have to just measure up what capabilities your opponent has against you. So if you know that somebody, whether he's a man or a woman, if you know that person is weaker than you, he's smaller than you, he's more frail than you, or she's more frail than you, then obviously you should definitely not even go there. But violence is not, it's not about, oh, you can be violent towards a man, but you shouldn't be violent towards a woman, because there are women that are actually bigger than you and that could actually knock you out. So whether she's a woman or not is irrelevant.
It's the individual.
It's the individual, and it's their capabilities, and it's how strong they are and how well they can defend themselves that makes it fair or unfair. That's what I think. I know so many people probably disagree with me, but that's just what I think.
It's just one of those kind of like when you've got 2 seconds to make a decision and your own preconceptions
they will
and
kick
your sexism go through your head.
Definitely.
And it's good to explore it and talk about it. I'm going to go there. Might be a subject you don't want to talk about.
Just go there.
But let's go there. Polygamy. There are parts of the world where it is seen as okay for a man to take more than one wife and to take care for and provide for more than one wife. Is that ever acceptable in your view?
If it's only a man that can do it, then no. Nothing is acceptable if only a man can do it. That just doesn't, because that's not equal. But
okay.
In
so
terms
in
of
those societies, if it was like, hey, you guys, everyone can have more than one husband and more than one wife,
that's
it's
fine.
okay.
I'm not a terribly conventional person. If people want to do that, then that's absolutely fine. But when we think of polygamy, it's always about a man having more than one wife.
Yeah.
So on that subject, I would say, are you all right there?
Paul Riley's baffled.
No. I respect her decisions or judgments, but I respect it.
Because
I mean, you got Muslim women that don't agree with it either,
Sure.
But then if it says it in the holy book that they believe and they say that
that it's permitted.
That it's permitted.
But not that it's.
But they still don't.
Not that it's a must.
They still don't accept it. So this is like you say, just one of those ones.
Well,
it's a bit tough.
In the world, there are more women than men, and this is one of the arguments for polygamy as opposed to polyandry, which I think is the opposite one, which no one's probably ever heard of that word.
There's a reason for that.
There you go. And to word it from the other side, if every woman has the right to a husband, there's more women than men, some of them will have to share. Is that a problematic way of wording it?
Well,
Is it justifying?
What Stella has to look at
misogyny?
also, I don't know, maybe she's probably from what I've heard tonight, she's looked at loads of different angles to life and her beliefs and
she's very well read.
Yeah, she's very well read.
She's right here.
She's right, and she's live, yeah. If you've got situations where, you've got females who are 30, 40, sitting at home, never been married, they don't have children or anything, then you have divorced women that nobody wants to take on, orphans, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You have different types of social, situations. That's where the polygamy thing comes into. I think it's something that's misused, because I think the men that maybe are doing it today or are doing it, practicing it, they're doing more of an ego thing rather than actually helping a social situation. Do you understand? Where you're taking less fortunate people on and you're actually taking care of them. I think when people think of polygamy, they think, the guy is just a freak. He just wants to have loads of women.
So you're saying that polygamy is a man saving a number of women from being left on the shelf? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's part of it. It's part of it. I'm not saying it is that. I'm saying it's part of it. It's not just one thing to it. There's loads of different parts to it,
Okay.
But I don't believe that.
These are the conditions under which you believe it should be practiced, rather than just for, I want to have 4 wives because I want to have 4 wives.
Yeah, I mean that's my opinion anyway. I mean, other people think no. Even if you want to take on more than one woman, this is right.
But having a woman isn't like having a pet. Like, do you want to take on more than one pet?
No, but it's not seen as a pet.
But it's the underlying tone is kind of that. So what you're saying is that they're actually doing them a favour. We old women, we don't want to leave you on the shelf because you're no good on the shelf. You have to belong to somebody, so you can belong to me.
It's nothing about being on the shelf. I think that I hear that point as well. It might come across like that, but it's not like that. I mean, there's a matter of choice in it as well. You don't just grab a woman and think, you're an unfortunate woman, you're coming with me.
But the way you phrased it was really interesting, because you said you can take on more than one woman, like it's a massive...
It's not a woman saying, I'll take on a man now.
The
woman's voice is completely drowned out. At this
maybe
point.
it's just the way I said it. Maybe it's just the way I said it. But I'm not an expert in the matter. I'm not an expert in the matter. I mean, I'm sure there's other people out there that can explain it more in depth.
What about men that get left on the shelf? What about men that have been divorced or widowed or whatever? What about those women? Because we haven't really spoken about them too much. We've just spoken about those poor women left on those dusty shelves. So, do you see what I'm saying?
If a man's single, if a man's struggling, and he's not marketable enough for whatever reason, then that's on him. He's got to.
So, can a woman take on 2 or 3 men under her wing?
Do you think it's in a woman's nature to be taking on 3, 4,
I think
5 men.
I think women take on a lot of men, and a lot of everything. A lot of responsibilities.
Come on, a woman taking on. Okay, not taking on a man. Let's take away that sort of phrase, taking on a man. A woman being married to 3, 4 different men.
Yeah. So that look of judgment in your face is what I want to get out.
That comes from your culture, which has told you that's.
But my culture's told me that as well.
Almost every culture tells us that.
Yeah.
I believe there are tribes in South America where the woman can have more than one husband, and you can have more than one father, and they actually believe that 2 men can contribute to one birth. Obviously, they don't understand the biology of it, but they believe in that concept. But it's very rare, and the world consensus is that men are usually the dominant partner.
Okay.
And that's why Barbara looks uneasy about
a woman
taking on.
I'm not uneasy about anything. I grew up in this country. I've seen everything.
So when you say, would a woman really take on 4 men?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What's the underlying tone there?
Well, a woman's getting. Well, I can't even say it on radio now. Come on.
Why not?
No, you can't.
Well.
Okay, what do you?
Because she'll be seen. What? Because she'll be seen as somehow.
Promiscuous.
Promiscuous.
Promiscuous, yeah. But is a woman? Will a woman be able to take care of 3, 4 husbands, unfortunate men that are probably broke bums?
Does a man need to take care of the women?
Does it what?
Do women need men to take care of them?
No, they don't need.
But there are some that do, apparently.
Do you believe that it's in human nature to be partnered up with people? Or do you think that
paired up? Yes.
Partnered. Sorry, I used the word partnered because it's more correct for the show. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, not paired. I said partnered. So you're equal. Yeah. So, don't you think it is in human nature for people to be partnered or paired, as you said, or is it okay for people to roam?
I'm saying paired because that means 1 man, 1 woman.
Yeah.
Partnered could mean 1 man and 4 women, according to your belief.
But that's a totally different thing. You know, that comes with circumstances, I believe. You know, if you're with a woman, say for example you get married and you're with a woman who's barren and you want to have children, yeah? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do then? Okay, you can adopt. Yeah, you can adopt. Okay, that's a thing there. But you want to have your own children now. What do you do?
You do nothing. You
no,
just
you
get
can't.
on with your life.
No, you don't.
Oh, is this where you get wife number 2 from the shelf?
No.
So you can have kids.
So okay, some people may not do that, and some people may be happy because I know people that probably been trying for years and they never had no children, but they're still together. That's fine. But some people they think, okay, you know what, I really want to have my own children, and unfortunately, I can't with this lady.
This is all very male perspective dominated stuff. Like I can't really.
But this is
there's 3 men in the room, so obviously it's going to be a little bit biased. So
no, not all. You have a right to your opinion. You can say what, but this is real life. These are things that are happening. So I'm just throwing a few things out there.
Obviously, you object to polygamy. Is that?
I don't object to polygamy.
You don't.
As a concept,
Okay.
as a concept of having a relationship, whatever people get up to is their business. I don't judge people based on who they want to be with or what. That's fine. All I'm saying is, if we want to make it something that's socially acceptable, make it acceptable for women as well, not just for men.
Okay, that would be your problem with the Islamic perspective of man can have up to 4 wives, but women can only have 1 husband.
Yeah.
And most people would
because
that does seem problematic.
It's not problematic because in the Quran it's taught, that men and women are equal, but they are different. Yeah? So it's not coming to a point where it's problematic. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all because Muslims have been doing it for 1400 years. Obviously, some Muslims come and they abused the rulings, But if you look at the teachings, what that teaching is actually teaching you, that's what you're supposed to follow. You're not supposed to follow your own whims and desires, which is what's shown in the media where people have messed up, abused their teachings, and this is what's giving the religion a bad name.
Yeah, and the other aspect is you can have as many mistresses as you want.
Where's
in this culture, but you just can't marry them legally.
This is another thing. This is another thing. You know, grooming, for example. You know, I call it, okay, there's grooming and then there's playing as well. You know, how is it that a man or a woman even, you know, she can deceive the opposite sex, you know, get their fun, whatever they want to do, and move on, and nothing can come of it? What about stuff like that?
Obviously, if you're married...
Isn't that a form of grooming? I mean, I was trying to make a point across, but I don't think it was registering to someone else. But I said, look, you know, you've got people who are said to be grooming, but I think if you're playing as well, you know, the opposite sex, I think that's a form of grooming too, because, you know, you're deceiving the individual. Just like these young girls are being deceived, you know, they've been told that, oh, you know, they're loved and blah, blah, and given nice gifts, and before you know it, they're used and abused, and they're thrown to the side. So, you know, this is something that happens casually, and it's like a trophy thing. It's like, yeah, you know, I had a good time with her, and I'm not with her no more. So, I'm just putting something out there again.
All right. Wow, we've really... We've covered a lot in no particular order. There was a couple more points I wanted to raise with everyone. In regards to language being sexist, what about, and the institution of marriage, even in our country, one man, one woman is the law. Probably that's the best way to pair, but the woman takes the man's name. How do you feel about that, Stella Anaxagorou?
Completely.
Presumably your dad's surname.
Yeah, which I'm keeping if I get married.
Right. Why?
Because that's my name.
Okay.
And that's my identity, and nobody should be able to take that away from me.
Definitely. And I should let you know, in Islam, the woman has the right to keep her name.
There you go, Stella.
Cheers.
There you go. It's not so sexist, is it?
Not all doom and gloom.
My wife has her own name.
MashaAllah.
You know, so it's just...
that she got from her mother?
Father's side.
Well, there you go then. Okay. Well,
but she's a father's daughter, right? So she's got to be...
She's her mother's daughter as well.
Mother's daughter. Okay, she can have half the mother's name and
yeah.
the father's name and join it up.
That's...
Right, so we put that one to bed.
We put that one to bed, yeah. The surname is fine. Yeah, so what's up with you? What's wrong?
It's not controversial.
It's not his sort of
You wanted
topic.
something really controversial tonight.
It's
You
not
wanted it
his.
juicy. I might buy him a mic. I need an extra mic for this. Right.
Okay, here's another one I want to throw out there.
Go.
Women's dress now, but not scantily clad, covered up.
The hijab.
That's right. The hijab, the jilbab.
I object to that term, by the way, but anyway.
The covering, you know. Do women have a right to cover up just as much as they have a right to be undressed?
Look, I don't want to offend anyone because I don't know much about Islam and stuff, so I don't really want to. But if you're asking for my personal opinion, I don't think women should be covered up.
To what? But we all wear clothes, right?
In the way that he meant.
What did he mean?
What did I mean?
What does it mean to you?
No, what did I mean?
With the...
Go on.
The headscarf.
One of the,
well, I don't want to say hijab because you don't like that.
No, I'll tell you what I don't like about the term hijab and hijabi and so on, and she's a hijabi and she isn't. The word hijab just means covering.
The covering,
and we all cover ourselves to some extent.
Okay,
and
to
everyone
some extent.
interprets it differently.
Okay.
But because you and I have grown up in a culture where ordinarily women's hair is exposed, when we see a woman who chooses to cover her hair also, the gut feeling is, oh, that poor her, she has to cover her hair. But maybe she just chooses to. I mean, we all wear clothes.
Okay.
You have to cover your legs. Oh, it feels for you, Stella. You have to wear a shirt.
I don't cover my legs when I'm hot.
Okay, but you would never go completely naked in public.
Well, no one would.
No, exactly, no one would. We all wear clothes. So
but
why is it problematic that in one culture, and I think it's cultural as much as it is religious, that the women cover their hair?
It's the same problem that we have in Western society, where women feel compelled to wear less clothes to be considered more sexy and to be attracted to men.
Okay.
It's the same problem, but on the different side of the scale.
Why is
Do you
it
see
a problem?
what I'm saying? Issue.
Okay,
but
why
on
is
the
this an
opposite
issue?
side of the spectrum, because, like I said, I don't know much about the reason
Okay.
for it, and I'm not going to claim to know about it, but all I'm saying is that decision that those women have made has come from an outward influence from somewhere.
But did you make a decision to wear clothes?
What is that question?
Well, that's a norm for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the women who cover their hair, that is the norm for them. That's just what they wear in front of strangers.
Yeah, and that's
they
fine.
would feel naked
That's
not to
fine,
wear it.
but I would ask them why they're wearing it. What is the actual reason behind it? And I have asked, and the answer is because they like to stay modest. They want to keep that modesty and cover their hair and things like that. And that's absolutely fine. But again, I'll go back to, why don't the men cover their hair? Where is the
men
modesty in
cover
that?
their from their navel to their knee.
But they're not covering their hair,
No,
Julian.
they don't. But
It's not the same. Yes, we all wear clothes, but we're not wearing...
Okay.
Wait,
Let me first think.
Whoa. Okay, men and women cover a different amount, and the women cover more. In this culture, in our culture, I can go topless on the beach, but it wouldn't be acceptable if you did it.
And that's just as infuriating.
Is that really just as infuriating for you?
Yeah, why is that funny? I
Well,
don't get
it's
why
funny
that's
because everyone accepts, rightly or
but
wrongly,
look,
that it's
just
okay
because
for
the
men to go
general
topless, and it's
population,
not
yeah,
okay
but
for
just
women.
because the general population accepts something doesn't make it right. If you actually
you?
think morally about it, it doesn't make any sense.
But what do we
What
base
we have to
morals
look
on
at, I
other
think
than
what-
consensus?
Sorry. I think what we have to look at here is what is appealing here to the opposite sexes now. What attracts the opposite sexes, and what would lead to mischief or trouble or, God forbid, rape.
Well, we're going back to that rape thing.
No.
So
But,
if
no. I'm not going back to that, but I'm trying to get to the point of the covering. Yeah. So where he's tried to explain for the man, it's from above the navel to the knee, and for the females, it's from the head to the.
And there's a
ankles.
spectrum of opinion on what it should be. As
Yeah,
well.
there's a
It depends
spectrum.
on culture.
That's right. So, where you go to the Middle East now, or Southeast Asia, or wherever, you find the females dressing a certain way and the men dressing a certain way. And I think the way they dress is just a sense of deterrent in public, where they do not want to attract a certain negative attention, where here in the West we preach that women should do whatever they want, in the East, it's taught that, if you go out a certain way, it's going to be trouble for you. Do you know what I mean? So,
But can I just say, again, it's always the women that are being taught something, and it's never the men.
The men-
So the women don't want to expose their hair or whatever because they don't want to attract the wrong kind of attention. Again, it's all focused on what the women have to do to prevent something happening. And same as in the Western world, women, you have to keep your clothes on, otherwise you're going to attract the wrong kind of man. There's nothing that's actually surrounding the issue around men. How men are perceiving hair on a woman, how men are perceiving breasts on a woman. Like you said earlier, the reason why women can't go topless is because breasts are seen as like a sexualised part of a
In
female
our
body.
culture.
Who said that? Who started?
It's
That's
agreed,
not actually what it is.
But it's agreed in our culture.
But just because it's agreed in our culture, it doesn't make it right. That's what I'm saying.
But that's how
there is a dress code. There is actually a dress code for men as well.
What is that?
And they basically have to wear loose clothing.
I know that.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But culture is what makes laws and norms. I mean, what are morals other than culture? Very few morals are actually universal or innate. Or in fact, other than incest being wrong, which is agreed in every culture, almost every other moral stance has got some grey area to it.
I think incest became, what do you call it, taboo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That word.
Taboo.
Right, okay, incest became taboo when religion started becoming more predominant. Before religion came.
Incest has been taboo in every society, in every culture, with a few
Well, the ancient
exceptions
Romans-
who died
the ancient
out.
Romans,
With a
the
few
an-
exceptions who died out because of the weird practice that they were.
Yeah, but it was looked as okay for them. It was fine for them until they killed themselves off.
Okay, but why are we talking about incest?
I'm talking about norms.
We're talking about mental conditioning now.
Norms within society.
No more crimes against women. It's something else now.
We always judge other cultures and women in other cultures by our own values. And if we look at, there's a hell of a lot of propaganda against the Islamic Republic of Iran at the moment, and it's all because the women have to wear. Give that man the mic. If he sighs one more time, I'm going to knock him out. Give him a mic. What do you want to say? Silence speak volumes. It's all because the women have to cover their hair, and they're so oppressed, and this and that. But
women are oppressed everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Women are oppressed everywhere, exactly. And it's not because they have to wear something on their head.
No, like I said.
Why is it that?
Well, let's start. I think Stella's
that is the opposite side of the spectrum is women who have to constantly expose themselves and sexualise themselves in order to be accepted in society. It's the same thing, but it's on the other side. It's still oppressive, though, and I will still say that having to cover yourself up or having to strip yourself down, that's still oppressive, because somebody's telling you that that's what you have to do to be acceptable.
I think it's more oppressive to tell someone to remove clothing than for someone to cover up.
It's oppressive.
To be within part of a society.
As soon as somebody tells you how to be, for them to be accepted somewhere, tells you how to be yourself, that is oppression, because you're not. That's not your free choice. That's somebody else's decision.
If I ever go and live in the rainforest where everyone walks around naked, I'm going to continue to wear clothes. Thank you very much.
But if you were born in the rainforest, you would never wear clothes.
Exactly. But if someone from the rainforest comes and lives here, I would hope they would start to cover up. So when we look at Iran or other Muslim countries where the women have to cover, we all wear clothes, and that's just what they do. As you said, women are oppressed everywhere, and I think we're too, and even on this show, we're too attached to what they wear and how they look.
Should we talk about crimes against women in the East and the West, where in the East predominantly women are covered? Are rape rates, crimes against women, as high as the West? And has clothing does it really have something to do with it?
Well, let's see what this caller wants to say about it.
Because if you have women walking around in sack, I don't think they're going to get any problems.
Right, you're on line 5. Who's this?
Hello there, it's Jamal here.
Jamal, welcome to the show.
Hi there. I've got to be brief. I do like the show tonight. I think it's been very, very good. And I personally consider myself a feminist to some extent. I'm a big supporter of feminism. But I did also want to mention that there are differences between men and women, psychologically and neurologically. That's been proven by neurologists, scientists. And I just wanted to say, for example, out of all of the prime ministers we've ever had in England, we've only ever had one female prime minister. And look at the state of the country that was left.
John Major.
And what about all the male prime ministers?
Which one was that?
It was an absolute disgrace, especially for us in the north. So, I just want to say, make your own conclusions from that. But again, very good show, and I am a supporter, but I just think, some men are better at some things and women are better at others. I thank you very much. Draw your own conclusions.
Jamal, thank you.
All right, cheers, Jamal.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Like the sound. Okay, we had one female prime minister, and she was terrible. I actually agree with that fact, but isn't the problem not that she was bad, but the fact we only ever had one?
She was made of iron, though.
Why are we not having any female callers? That's what I don't understand.
Where are the females? Maybe they're agreeing.
Yeah, very often it's
fighting my own battles here.
On air, actually. Tonight, the males have come out of their shell for some reason.
Told you.
Why is that?
I just attract that kind of attention.
They feel they can take on Stella Anaxagorou. Now, I mean, I hate Margaret Thatcher, but not because she's a woman, because she was as bad as any man.
Thank you.
Would have been.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Wow, he's a real feminist, that one.
That's Jamal
Hardcore
from the north
feminist.
of England who said we had one bad female prime minister, and draw your own conclusions, and draw them we will. Right, we're going to wrap things up shortly, but you wanted to talk about the Middle East. I want to talk about whatever Stella wants to talk about.
Let's talk about what Stella wants to talk about. Let's come to a common understanding before we wrap up the show.
Okay.
Let's be friends.
Let's be friends, yeah.
Have we upset you more than you thought we might? You were warned that you were coming into a show dominated by men.
This idea by me having to get upset is, again, pretty sexist, because If I was a man sitting here and we were having a conversation, you wouldn't go, bro, did I upset you? You wouldn't do that. So you haven't upset me, and you don't need to think that you have, firstly. So we're all friends.
We're all friends here, men and women alike. Good. But you must have had some trepidation about stepping in, and respect to you for coming down here in a male-dominated environment, doing it on your own.
On this
Not
show,
one woman picked up the phone to back you up.
on this show, we just put it out there.
Yeah, you've got to do that, man.
That's what we do.
Yeah, no, there's no rehearsal. I know that may shock you. Couple more points I wanted to make before we go. We've done nipples, and mine being just as offensive as yours. What about has body image changed? People used to say, "Oh, there's so much pressure on women to be slim and anorexia or whatnot." Now it feels like the pressure is to be athletic, but it doesn't matter what the pressure is to be; it's still pressure.
Yeah, but I think that men get exactly the same pressures.
Okay, there's another common ground for us, men and women.
So that kind of obsession with your body and, you know, what kind of body you want to have and eating disorders that go with that, that's something that men and women both have to face. I don't think that one suffers from that more than the other. Actually, no, they do. Women suffer more.
But men suffer also, but not as much.
Not as much. So there's only one kind of body that a man can strive to have. And it's not like, if you look at the media, if you look at like advertising and things like that, it's constantly women's bodies, parts of women's bodies. Even if you look at like bottles and stuff, everything is shaped to look like a woman's body.
Okay,
so that
Coke bottle,
anything, everything is constantly reinforcing what, you know, female bodies have to look like, how they can be aesthetically pleasing, and that's why women are just totally obsessed with whether they look, you know, feminine, curvy, skinny, fat, athletic, whatever, because it's constantly surrounding them 24/7, sending messages that this is what they're supposed to look like. Whereas men only get one, and that is just be big, just be macho, and so women have to deal with it on a more severe scale.
I think it's changing a little bit for the men as well.
In
You
what
know,
way?
before, you know, it was a predominant, you know, the ideal man would look like, you know, would have to have Arnold's body and someone's face. You know, that would be like the ideal man.
Yeah.
But now I think we've got all these different fashions and trends, and it's different. I mean, I know guys, or I don't know guys, but I've seen guys who purposefully make themselves skinny to fit into these skinny sort of suits.
Yeah, but you'll still there's still those pressures. There's still those pressures, but they're not as vast as you know, as you see. You know, you go underground and you see billboards of women everywhere. I mean, you don't even see the face; you just see the neck to the feet. You know, like extracts of women's bodies, and that's literally everywhere. Yeah. So, and you don't get the same thing with men. So,
got a couple of texts in.
Okay.
This particular person's appreciating the show, saying good show, enjoying the discussion. Next one is, with all due respect to Stella, some people would always find something negative in everything. So,
okay. Don't even know what that means.
With all due respect.
Okay.
Basically, if someone wants to be negative about something, they can find a way of doing it. Maybe that's what it means.
Okay.
Oh, am I the negative one?
Yeah, Stella being negative.
I don't know. I don't know what I meant.
Okay.
Please clarify if you're still listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please clarify. One more door story. As a bouncer the other night, this happened in Reading. I won't say where, but it's fresh. It's like Freshers Week this week, and new students are coming in. So a bunch of 18-year-old kids, basically, men and women, and they'd all got T-shirts, and they'd all like drawn and written like disgusting sexual things, or like mainly written on girls' bodies on the T-shirt, like words. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Describing women in a negative way. I couldn't. Is it a sign that I'm getting old to be shocked by that? I couldn't understand it. Why do these girls feel that it's okay to let someone else has already obviously written it on them? Where the hell does that come from?
Well, like I said, when you live in a patriarchal society and you have to sit in a room with 3 men and have all men ring up and criticise you, pretty much, those kind of pressures, you just can't be liberated in that kind of an environment. You just go along with whatever stamp people put on you. You just go along with it. And if it's seen as like I said, fashionable or cool to have to dehumanise yourself to that extent in order to be accepted, then that's what you have to do. It's very sad, but that's the only conclusion I have for that, really.
Yeah, well, I hope...
Was it the girls that had that on?
The girls and boys were wearing these shirts with stuff written on it, but it was more noticeable that girls
were wearing it,
were wearing it and were being demeaned by it. And I'm not blaming the individuals for wearing it, as you say. It's the pressure, it's the situation that creates that.
If those women ever did try and defend themselves, they would get shut down, they'd get ridiculed, they'd get laughed at. And a lot of people, not women, a lot of people cannot handle that, and men actually can't handle that even more.
And the men can't handle to be the one saying, "Oh, why do you wear that?" The men would rather be the one writing it on. Because that's cool. You're a lad. Well done, mate.
Yeah, and then if the girl was wearing it, turn around and call her a slut, but never tell her to take it off.
That's right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, no, never say take it off, but would willingly comment. Yeah, go for it, man. What do you want to write?
So yeah, that is that really.
Yeah. No, I just found that kind of shocking. Barbara, I'm almost going to ask you the notices question.
Have I got any what?
Have you got any notices?
Announcements.
Announcement.
No, unfortunately, I don't have any announcements.
The strength challenge. Can women enter the bench press competition that we're running soon?
Yeah, if they want to enter it.
How heavy do they have to bench press?
Well, explain the rule bench
you can
competition.
I mean, if you are female and she can lift.
Well, if we had more than one female enter, we'd have a competition on our hands, right?
Definitely.
So
let's do it.
Is that an idea?
Put me down, yeah.
Stella is a competitor.
And the laughing, this is what I'm talking about.
Why are you laughing, you guys?
Because it doesn't look
I'll bet Stella will bench more than Yasser. I'll put money on that.
I'm actually alright on the bench press.
Pound for pound, I'll put money on that.
I'm actually alright. So.
But we can clear that.
I might be skinny, but don't underestimate.
Well, she might be a woman.
Same with me.
Well, let's see. Pound for pound. We'll go pound for pound on that.
Strength challenge, real bench press competition, December the 7th. I am now signing up entries.
I would love to see.
It's going to be
some
great day. We're going to get the community out. If women want to get involved, please let me know. We can arrange it. After today's show, my mind has been opened.
I hope it has.
It's wide.
I hope it
as
has.
the park.
And I hope that is not sarcasm as well.
No.
Honestly, on the level, no joking. The week build up to this show, the mind frame I had thinking about it and screenshotting these images I had of stupid stuff like what was the other one? Rihanna photos of
wearing
Rihanna, wearing clothes. The stupidness it did open my eyes. I'm going to have a quick flick through some of the other ones I saw. It just it makes you think about it in a different way. So I've interrupted Barbara's announcement. The strength challenge for men and women is
December the 7th.
December the 7th.
Signing up entries. So if you want to sign up, get in touch with me. You can find me. I'm not that hard to find. Do I really need to get my number? I'm not going to do that.
Get in touch with Barbara Ali.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that then. Next week's show, inshallah, will be announced in due course. We are hoping for a special guest next week, I believe, Julian.
Yes, I hope so. I won't tell you if it's a man or a woman. I won't tell you nothing.
Okay.
But that is it's a what do you call it? Blockbuster show, as was this. Stella, any closing comments before I leave you with a riddle?
No.
Okay. This is the weekly riddle. Okay. There's a man and his son, right? And they're father and son. They're in a car crash, and the father dies. He's dead. And in the hospital, The doctor is going to, the kid gets taken to intensive care, and the doctor says, I can't operate on this boy. He's my son. How is that possible? Over to Barbara Ali.
Was that a joke or what?
No, this is just a riddle. The doctor says, I can't operate on this boy. He is my son. But the dad died in a car crash. How is that possible?
He won't get it.
Have you got it, Yasser?
I know he won't.
You know he won't.
Well, if you haven't got it, then how am I going to get it? Did you get it?
No.
So the doctor
said, he is my son. I can't operate on this boy. He is my son. That's what the doctor said. But the father died in the car crash. How is this possible? I'm baffled. Text in if you've got the answer. Phone in, you've got about a minute to do so. Have you got the answer? The doctor said, I can't operate on this boy. He is my son. This is another one of those we're making a video about.
I think you're going to make a little clip with the wind coming through the doors.
Yeah, with the wind coming through the doors. Has no one got it?
I ain't got it.
Has anyone got a I'm getting texts here. Maybe someone's got it. No. All right. Do you want to know the answer?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
The doctor said, "This I can't operate on this boy because he is my son." The doctor was the stepdad.
I was actually going to say
Wait, we've got a
that.
caller on line 5. There's a stepfather. Oh, you thought I was... Yeah. Hello? Hello, caller. It's dead. It's gone. If you're calling, ring back straight away. We'll get you on.
I was literally going to say that.
You were going to say...
But I thought that was too obvious.
Well, yeah, that is the... Oh, wait, I've just got a text from NH. She's saying the mother is the doctor. Never thought of that one.
Could be that too.
Ah.
Where'd you pick up these things from anyway?
I got it from a guy from Fathers for Justice told me it. So he obviously had...
Fathers for Justice.
Yeah, he had a different...
Was that some superhero team?
Yeah, the mother was the... How didn't you get that, Stella?
Sorry, I
Come on.
should have been on my ball.
It's all right. Yeah, it was the mother was the doctor. There you go. Another one of those next week. The weekly riddle.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to wrap up the show for tonight. We thank Stella for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Great show.
Thank you very
We nearly
much.
went on for flat out 2 hours, and we really enjoyed it. Very
Thank you.
insightful. We talked about stuff and we shared stuff, which is what we're here for. Please tune in next week, as ever, Wednesday from 10 p.m. The Late Show. From myself, Barbara Ali, Julian, Stella and Yasser. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم